Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the monthly finals of APAC, Crazy Racoon versus Reject. Probably the two best teams in the world from the best region in the world. So it'll be pretty interesting to see the mechanics, the drafts, and all the other stuff. So I've only actually seen the one set out of this. I think I know who came out victorious in the end. I won't spoil it for you guys if you haven't seen it already. So I'm just giving you guys my plain thoughts straight away. So pretty interesting straight away. I've not watched this set and seen a Mortis ban. Maybe, I mean, he can be a strong last pick brawler against throwers. Maybe Mortis is a more prevalent brawler in East Asia. I think I've definitely seen him a lot more in East Asia. So pretty interesting. In terms of the bans, we have Shelly, Lola, and Crow as well. Crow being the third one. Barley, of course, really safe. Gray is interesting. So Gray is a pretty decent brawler overall. I'm pretty surprised that we don't really typically see Gray too much in EU on Brawl specifically, because I think it's pretty good in Power League. The only thing is with a Gray, like, yeah, it can be good against throws and can make some good opportunities. He really lacks the DPS in Brawl in particular. So, you know, straight away, if I was Crazy Racoon, I'll just be doubling down on the aggro. Literally, like, there's no Shelly, there's no Crow, Tara, there's only M's they can kind of cancel out with. I'd have gone with some big beefy brawlers, you know, to double counter specifically the Bonnie and the Greys. So maybe like a Poco and another brawler, maybe just two tanks, just literally as much HP as possible, and Gray and Bonnie won't have a good matchup against those. So they go with their Gus, which I'd say is decent. Again, the only thing is it's not really the best against aggro, considering both Gray and Bonnie do have its aggro's tendencies. I probably would have preferred even like a B. I know B isn't the best against Bonnie, but, you know, just in case of that last pick, for example, and the Nita. I mean, Nita is pretty decent overall. I guess Gus can make some good combinations with the Nita, you know, with the shield pushing forward. Can be pretty decent overall. And then with the last pick, these guys are taking a lot longer draft as well. We've seen in EU drafts a lot quicker. And we go with the Dynamite last pick. So Dynamite is always a really strong last pick on Pinball Dreams. So I like it as well. Dynamite's going to be good against all three of these brawlers. And to be honest, I definitely prefer the Reject composition, because, you know, Nita's going to be good once you get into the bushes, but a good Dynamite should be able to pop off. You know, if Gray gets on the Barley and then Dynamite gets on the Nita, you know, I literally prefer rejecting every single 1v1 there. But they've got to get their matchups right. And if Nita can start chaining the bears, it's going to be really difficult for a Gray and a Bonnie to actually deal with that Bruce Bear. So we'll see how things go once they get loaded into the game. And we can see already how things are going to play off. So right now, if you guys are wondering, Crazy Racoon do have, I believe, I actually have one two-time world champion in Tensai, and then a Chappie who was Tensai's teammate last year and the year before that. So they're the only two people, I believe, in the world that have won 2 world championships, which is pretty interesting. Of course, Sai Tampo did lose out in the final. He could have been back-to-back as well. You know, we've got some really stacked rosters. Levi, I believe, was kind of in and around the scene last year, but a lot of pros and a lot of people within the East Asia community saying that Levi definitely has potential to be one of the best for sure. And we'll see definitely how strong he is. I've been watching him across multiple monthly finals, and he's actually one of my secretly, one of my favorites in terms of competitive. So, me waffling, just ignore me waffling. You guys probably know who these guys are already. Mechanically the best teams in the world. Ajape goes for the stun, misses it unfortunately. Doesn't really take down Side Tampo. So Tampo's using a heal stop power as well. A lot of people using that stop power on Barley, which is pretty interesting to me. We see the takedowns finally. So it's actually really messy, but most of the time when I watch East Asia, it's pretty calculated. They kind of rely on team play mechanics more so than just brute, like, I would say, compositions. They kind of rely off the sharpshooters and their skill to go for the win most of the time. So see Bruce Bear pushing him back into spawn. Dynamite has to use super, but a bit of a failed super in the end, and Moya's just going to be able to slot that one in. So yeah, we saw how, I would say, some good patience, but overall a good timed super from Side Tampo, and he can just slot that ball into an empty net. So Sugar Rush is popped right here. Moya gets the kill onto Levi, and again he's going to be pushing forward. So you can see here how, you know, Bruce is just going to have a field day on all of these guys if they can get into position, and that's just where the matchups are probably a little bit wrong. I know the spawns aren't really the best, But you just definitely need Grey on anyone but Anita. It's going to be really hard for him to deal with Anita with all those walls in behind. Menmi's going to go for the jump, and with the Gust Shield actually survives for a long time, Santampo. But with only 15 seconds left, the ball's going to be in the right corner. Surely Tensai can just stay alive here, even with a Grey teleport. I think they should have enough time to defend this one. Yeah, Grey's not going to have enough time. So that's going to be the first game going aside of Crazy Racoon. I'll just have to apologize straight away, by the way, if I get any of these names wrong. I'm not the best with pronunciation. You probably know that already from my main channel, but I try. I should probably just abbreviate a lot of names like Sight instead of Saitampo. But it's just how it is. You can see Tensai. I think that's, yeah, it's Tensai's back room. I watched quite a few of his streams, and it's quite nice to see a really organized bed. That's actually a funny point I make, because every single time I see someone else on camera, you know, I think I've seen some people from who was it? I think it was from the US that has some really messy rooms. Basically every room is messy behind them except for Tensai. So yeah, Tensai has to go for keeping clean. Definitely, it actually really helps. You know, a clean bedroom is a clean mind, in my opinion. That's just me getting old, but it's getting into a game then. So the ball's straight away in the hands of Crazy Racoon. So it's pretty interesting to see straight away. We're going for the swap here, which definitely, I would say Dynamite can have sometimes a better matchup against a Barley. But the thing about Barley with his star power in particular is that you can keep pushing the Dynamite back. You keep healing every single time. So it's very interesting interaction. Also using a heal gadget as well. So many healings for the team. Moya's just going to push in here. Tensai's going to get stunned in the end. So a little bit unfortunate. Now Menmi might be able to push forward with his jump in time. He's going to get a pinch with Saitampo as well. And look how much pressure this guy is getting, by the way. He gets the kill onto a Chape as well, which was just really interesting. He bought so much time for his team. And now we see a Bruce Bear, which is going to be really hard for the opponents to deal with. Moya's going to try and go onto the Bonnie instead with his Bruce Bear. Which is definitely favorable because, of course, Dynamite can take that down pretty quickly. We see the jump coming in and a really well-timed super from Tensai. And I just love how Tensai plays Gust, by the way. He's not afraid to just hold on to his super and use it as a defensive measure. Of course, Bonnie's going to get the kill still most of the time against a thrower, but it gives his team a little bit more time to take down Bonnie afterwards. You know, Bonnie's going to be pretty weak once she jumps in. Normally, she's full HP after she's killed a Barley straight away. So I really like that so far. Still 40 seconds, no kills to really talk about. We see the shield gadget from Benita go down. A good Dynamite super from a Chape right there. And that's going to be the lead, surely going the way of a reject. So quite interesting overall. I think if anything, there's not really been too many goal scoring opportunities. It's just been back and forth in terms of kills and whatever else. Chape's got a super to hand. He's actually going to miss it, but get a lot of damage onto these guys. Again, should be able to get a good time super, if not get the takedown. Anyways, a good jump from Menmi in the end, and that's going to be the round going the side of reject. So some two really close teams, like both of them are pretty much as good as each other, even though the leaderboards will suggest that Crazy Racoon are starting to run away with it a little bit. You know, rejects definitely, once they start getting that team chemistry together, they're going to start making a run for it as well. And the thing is what in the ESL Masters, you know, Crazy Racoon, everyone thought, myself included, I thought 100% they were just going to win that so easily. But in the end, of course, Totem won ESL Masters. Basically, it was Worlds without South America. So technically, it wasn't Worlds, but pretty much it was a good representation of what we should see in the actual World Finals. So Menmi pops the Sugar Rush right here. So some good team synergy straight away. A Chape getting the kill onto Saitampo again. That's going to be a good wall break and a good goal from Reject. So like I said at the beginning, I just like, if they can get the matchups, I like Reject's composition a lot more, because Dynamite, he can create some really good opportunities, and there's just no real aggression to counter Dynamite on the composition of Crazy Racoon. So I can definitely see some flaws in their draft for sure. We see a missed time jump from Menmi, still gets the kill in the end, but here with Moya with so much HP, a good, really good walking cane and a really fantastic clearance. I don't think that's going to be enough though to stop the goal, unfortunately, but that was some insane Grey tech. I love that. That was one of the best Grey plays I've seen in a while in competitive. So good clearance, but in the end, of course, haven't got the DPS to take them down. We can see here again, we're just going to push forward with Moya with the healing gadget and also the super, and that's going to be a takedown onto Menmi as well. Levi, he's going to teleport in, but doesn't have the ammo to take him down now. Just a Chape trying to survive here. He's going to go into Side Tamper, miss the stun gadget, and now Side Tamper with his super should be able to push the opponents back into an uncomfortable position. Some really good, well-timed supers here. We see the shield go down onto Moya as well. Chop is just going to heal up. Menmi has to defensively use super, I think. I don't know if that was a bit of a misplay, but still the ball in the hands of Rejects here. Chop is doing a really good job of just keeping them back for now, but Moya does have super. They have positioning behind these walls. I've got a feel for Rejects here because they've got their backs against the wall. It's going to be pretty hard for them to really do anything right here. See Moya with another shield and another Bruce Bear. It's just so much tankiness on the side of Crazy Racoon. That's going to be another takedown. Bruce is going to be full HP. He's going to be giving healings back to Moya as well. He's somehow still alive there. He's going to get an easy pass over to Tensai. That's going to be the first goal. So, all things considered, I think Crazy Racoon just played that beautifully in terms of team synergy. I really liked it. So much tankiness that Crazy Racoon, that Reject just couldn't deal with it. Jumping into the second set, we have Julian Beetle's Hot Zone. So, pretty interesting to see how this meta goes. I think this is the one match which I did end up watching when I woke up. But yeah, it was just still pretty early for me in the morning, this region. So, we see the bands under the first pick Bell. We see Penny, Squeak, and Poco. Then we see Crow, Bonnie, and Alola. So they respond with the Gus, which is pretty decent overall, I would say. I do prefer the Bell a little bit more just because in that specific lane, if you put Bell down the left or right lane on this map, she's going to win most of her matchups. So I really like that. We go with a Maisie, which straight away, this is the one brawler that I can remember the most when I did watch like one round of this set. Is I'm pretty surprised them just picking Maisie. I don't know what it is with Maisie. There's just so many brawlers that can like a similar, just like Jessie for example, which I think are just better in my opinion. Anyways, she's just outranged by a lot of kind of those mid single shot brawlers. We'll see how Charpey, the best player in the world, uses her though. And then we see the last pick, Gray from Crazy Racoon, well the 5th pick for overall. You know, I like it in some ways because it can counter out maybe some of the sharpshooters sometimes if you catch them off guard. But the thing is about Crazy Racoon's composition is that they're all sharpshooters. So straight away, I'd probably go something like a Mr. P. Can't really go a throw up just because of the Gray. He can just destroy throwers. You know, Mr. P springs to mind. Maybe even like a Penny. Oh no, Penny's banned. I was trying to think of some other brawlers off the top of my head. B is pretty good against, you know, Jessie. Actually, no, Jessie's actually good against B as well. I kind of like the Crazy Racoon composition here, in all honesty. There's more HP on the side of Rejects, especially if some Gus and Maisie aggressive plays can happen. They can get a lot of zone time. Overall, though, I still kind of like the Crazy Racoon composition, mainly because if you get the Jessie turret set up, then how can Rejects really deal with that? They can't actually deal with that, and Bell should be able to beat B down the lane as well. So pretty interesting overall. But one thing I noticed as well straight away is that on a map like Duel and Beetles, there's 6 sharpshooters essentially on the map right here, which I think again, you know, some smarter drafters. You know, I'm okay at drafting, but I'm of course nowhere near pro level. I think some pro level drafters in different regions can really pick apart their draft and look to counter them. So they're starting to get a little bit better in drafting. I think it's definitely a weakness. So we saw already in ESL Masters that it was a big weakness in both Reject and also Crazy Racoon's draft. Like EU and NAs were just so much better. And you can see already here, B's getting so much pressure. Actually using a Rattled Hive gadget, which I do like, especially on a map like Hot Zone. Well, a map like Hot Zone, a game mode like Hot Zone, you can get a lot of early pressure. And you can see here, Moya finally gets the super onto someone, but we see another Rattled Hive. There's still 50% lead, all things considered, and it's looking pretty rough from overall. We're Choppy getting some good shots, and now we see the Gus super come into play pretty soon. He can just walk onto that zone, get some free percentage, a bit of a wasted super in the end, but a Choppy with so much HP, you know, kind of like the Maisie at the moment, you know, so much HP. There's no wall break on the side of Crazy Racoon, so Maisie can stay in and around that kind of area and always get some good shots. And wow, Sharpie actually doing a really good job there. Actually used all of his gadgets already though, so can't get a good combination, but it doesn't really matter so far. Levi's popping off on the B, some good kills from a Sharpie, and actually predicts the teleport in as well. And that's going to be the first round going to Reject. So pretty interesting. Maybe I don't know the draft as well as these guys. Maybe in terms of EU and NA, we were kind of underrating some brawlers. Like Maisie, I think I've seen maybe, I think it was like 5 times this weekend and 1 win. So just going to show that Maisie's not really in the best of spots. You know, no one's even drafting her. She was actually one of the least drafted brawlers, and a 20% win rate is just pretty terrible if you ask me. So again, we can see in the middle though, just kind of fight, we see the side tempo just absolutely destroying the Gus on the lane. This guy on a sharpshooter, or just any brawler, any mechanical brawler, he's like the best in the world. Absolutely insane. He's getting those taps in consistently. A good walking cane from Moya. Now he can get his super and teleport onto someone like Levi. And the good thing is once Gray gets his super, is that he can just teleport onto B every single time, because he's not using Honey Molasses. And that's maybe one thing I'd reconsider. I know I like Rattled Hive, but the thing is, you can't defend yourself against a Gray teleport. We see the kill there from Rattled Hive in the end though, but you know, CL got a decent lead overall. Looking to use a super on side tempo, maybe a little bit of an overextension there from a Charpe, but it was kind of in an awkward situation anyway. The last Rattled Hive comes in. Moya can just teleport straight onto the B and take him down pretty easily. We see some bell shots ricochet right here, and now it's going to be pretty hard for Rejects to really gain some positioning. Some bell traps already on that side, and now Tensai finally gets his super. And it's going to be pretty hard for them to take down that Jessie turret. I'm not too sure. Okay, no, it does finally start to use that Energized Star Power. Moya straight away just teleports onto them, which it's pretty interesting. Like if normally in EU or other regions, you know, Pam is a really prevalent pick on this map, or just a little bit more HP, but Gray can just make use of multiple interactions and just teleport into someone whenever they're like 2 tappable, so around 3000 HP. But we'll see here Moya with some more teleport plays. He's able to get a lot of pressure in the end, and it's looking like a crazy Racoon win this time around. So, you know, things are going back and forth. This couldn't get any closer at the moment, but just off my feeling of how it's gonna go, I feel like Rejects are gonna get a little bit of a more of a stronghold in the game. I think it was definitely the early engagements which really cost them that time around, and we didn't really see too much kind of synergy with Gus and Maisie and that kind of gadget super combination. So hopefully this time around they can kind of sort things out. So Charpace, he's gonna go really aggressive already here, does actually dodge a few of those attacks, which is gonna definitely help him in the meanwhile. Jesse's not really having the best of matchups against this Gus right here. Gus is about to use his gadget as well. You can see once it is golden, it means a ghost is going to pop out right there, and they can just get that kooky popper activated and get the takedown. So really nice this time for Reject. We see Tensai trying to get his super. He's really struggling. I can see Jesse actually not being the best of picks in a region like East Asia, because these guys, in terms of their jukes and mechanics, like they can dodge so many shots. I mean, Tensai's tapped 2 or 3 times there in a row, and I'll just ate my words. So Tampa goes down in the end as well. But, you know, they have good aim, but Jesse's just hard to hit against good players for sure. So they go with the super. Jesse turret does get the slow, and they should be able to get the takedown, but didn't really get the most value out of it. Like, swiftly Reject kind of waited for that opportunity. A nice combination so far from a Charpy right there. And that's going to allow them to get a lot of percentage. So Tampo goes in there, tries to be really aggressive. He's going to look for the teleport again, which is going to get the extra HP, but I think that was a little bit of a misplay considering the fact that he was so low HP anyway. Tensai as well teleports in, and that's going to be a full team wipe on the side of Rejects. And yeah, that teleport actually kind of being their demise right there, because it was in an awkward spot. They kind of were forced to try and get some value out of that extra healing. Some really good taps from Moya and Tensai in the end. We're going to get another slow, but Choppy's just going to dodge that with his gadget, which was a really nice play, but they only need 10%, and with the amount of HP that they have, they should be able to confirm it. So Levi's going to get a tap here. Got to be able to get another big tap onto the turret. That was a really good play, by the way. Just gets that 3k shot with ease. A Charpy can just run in here with so much HP. Look at those dodges, by the way, from a Charpy. Wow, that was absolutely insane. And now it is a tie game. Absolutely insane plays from Rejects. I really liked their combinations though. So now we're jumping into set number 3. We have Heist Pit Stop. So straight away we see Rejects pick up the Nita. We have a Rico, Shelly, and an Ems band on the side of Crazy Racoon. And I think I've seen a Primo band. We see a Ruffs band and a Barley band. So 6 of the best brawlers pretty much banned out straight away. So pretty typical, I would say. But considering that Rejects had first pick, they banned out Barley, which is a little bit weird, but maybe they wanted a Nita. They go with a BB and a Spike. BB is a brawler which we never see, but in East Asia, they always like the BB. They do like it, even when she's one of the worst brawlers in the meta. I've seen her being used there for years, where you typically wouldn't really see that in EU. But with BB, the good thing is in Pit Stop, it's like her best map, and you can get a lot of damage with the bubble on this map. I really do like BB. It takes me back to the good old days, especially when she was first released, when she was really good on base race maps like this. And they go with the Tara. So Tara is an interesting one. We're starting to see Tara a little bit more in Heist. I've seen it used by, I think, Luminosity in NA against STMN on Kaboom Canyon. So, you know, Tara definitely has some more of a place in Heist now. I always recommended to you guys not to use Tara anymore in Heist, but now it's actually not a meme. It's actually starting to become really good. It's a good tank counter, and if you can be sneaky and get onto the safe, especially with the pets, you can deal a lot of damage. And then we see a Carl. So yeah, I don't know about this one. Maybe Carl was used in kind of anticipating them going like a thrower, maybe like a Willow. But the thing is, Carl is a terrible matchup into BBs, so I don't really like that from Rejects. A bit of a bad draft, in my opinion. I like the Tara and Benita, even though Spike actually has a decent matchup against all of them. I guess Carl was for the Spike matchup, right? That's going to be my prediction, and they go with the Buzz. So me, straight away, I much would rather have the Crazy Racoon composition, because Spike can get a lot of damage, Buzz can get a lot of damage. I feel like the aggression is going to be definitely better on the side of Crazy Racoon, but all things considered, I think both of them can definitely have its pluses as well. You know, Carl can get a lot of damage onto the safe, especially on a map like this. You have Tara pets, you've got a Nita Bear. There's just damage galore on both teams, and that's what you need to do on Pit Stop. If you're thinking of drafting, go with what these teams like to go a lot of times. Tanks, DPS, that's what it's all about. Don't go control, really. I mean, Ruffs and Barley are kind of good brawlers, because at least you can still get some damage. But anyways, going into this third set then. So we see the BB straight away going on the lane of Nita, and as she wins that matchup, I guess she'll have a decent matchup into Nita until she gets Bear. We see Moya actually hit his super, but then he just goes up and leaves the Tara anyway. So base race map straight away. We see the pets coming into play right here with damage gear activated for a Charpe, and they're going to win this one quite convinced. I mean, it's only 15% in the end, but that was very weird. That wasn't like I was watching East Asia Heist whatsoever. That was like I was watching Gold 3 Power League. Both teams just leave each other and just literally go for base race. So it takes me back to when I used to play in 2019. This is what used to happen in a map like Pit Stop. So yeah, maybe to get the better matchups this time around. In terms of pure base race, I think it's pretty similar, because BB can deal a lot of damage. If I was to say one, I'd actually prefer Rejects once they get their supers, because you've got Tara pets, you've got Nita Bear, but then Spike can deal like 60% with Inner Flash. So Levi going in straight away here. And again, we're seeing the base race. We see the BB getting the extra damage right here. We see the damage gear pops on the Buzz as well. That is so much damage going down on the side of Crazy Racoon right here. Popping the gadgets, trying to stay alive. Buzz is still alive. Carl is getting a lot of damage as well. You can see there, he's just shooting straight onto wall to get that extra bit of damage. The Bruce Bear comes out, but a bit of a bad one, if I'm completely honest. Just gets wrecked straight away. You know, Sartampo's going straight for the Carl matchup. He has an easy matchup every time, gets the kill, and that's going to be the round for them surely here, with just one more swing, and he's going to be able to get that one. So some really crazy heist games. It's going to be one of the fastest heist games I've actually pretty much watched. It's interesting to see how they play it. They just go down their particular lanes, and then if they don't actually like fancy that matchup, they just go straight for the high save, which is pretty funny to me. But going into the last game of this set then, it's just as even as it gets. So literally predicted it at the start. Both of these teams are amazing. And yeah, Saitampo again, he's going to pop the gadget. Actually, interesting, he goes for a home run style power as well. Just wants that extra speed. Should be able to take Nito in a 1v1, which you can't actually see, but we should be able to see one of them go down pretty soon. Tensai goes down here, which he really needs to get the kill onto a Charpy, because now the damage gear is activated, the pets are on the safe, and now we see the base race in hand. The Charpy with the damage gear again, and with the pets tanking, unfortunately goes down in the end here. The BB bubble getting so much damage, and after all of that, Crazy Racoon somehow end up winning. That spike shot was so clutch. I think without that spike shot, I think Reject would have actually won that one. So some really risky gameplay from East Asia, to be honest. They're just going full on aggro, literally a coin toss, pretty risky. Okay, so now going on to the fourth set, we have a double swoosh. I'll be interested to see how they actually draft on this one. Let's see if it's any different to EU. We go to Squeak, Ems, and a Crowban on the side of Crazy Racoon. So those are the three strongest brawlers because, of course, the Rejects have the first pick. Shelly drafted as a second pick. I'm surprised Sandy was first pick, to be honest. We see an Amber ban. We see a Jesse picked up as well. This is pretty wild. We see Cordelius as well banned. Jesse and Sandy. I mean, I've seen Jesse used a little bit more than Sandy, to be honest, but yeah, I don't really like it. Definitely would rather have the Jean. The Jean-Sandy combination is disgusting. It's always been such a good synergy, literally since they both came out. And they're part of the same trio, I believe. I think it's like the Mystic Trio. I don't know what the trio is actually called. Interesting to see whether to go with the triple trio. I don't think I've ever really seen that in BSC so far. And Tara's actually a good option. It's good into Shelly. It's not really the best into Jesse, but at the same time can be pretty good. And they go with a Tara, so they're actually going a Mystic Trio, which is just hilarious to me. And of course, if you get all of the supers combined, like all three of their supers are really overwhelming, right? You've got the Sandy Sandstorm, which can gain your control so easily. The Tara super is really toxic, and of course the Gene Pool can turn around games. I'm liking it. It's a pretty fruity composition, if I say so myself. And in terms of last picks, honestly, I would go. They're going with a Poco, so Poco can be okay against all of them. I'd have actually maybe gone for like a Buster. I don't know. It's pretty hard because you don't want to feed super too much from all of those guys. It's a hard composition to draft against. Me, myself, I wouldn't know what to face off against because it's really weird. They do have last pick though, so they should have had a good answer to it. But Poco, I don't know, because now that is two mids, and then Shelly's like good, but at the same time does get counted out by Tara and basically by Sandy as well. Because, you know, Shelly's going to be feeding that Sandy super pretty much all of the time. So I definitely would rather go with the Reject composition over this one. So we see the Jesse in the mid. I mean, Jesse in the mid can be pretty good against the Jean if you do get your turret. But the thing is, you don't have many scouting capabilities with this brawler. Just go with one tap though, pretty nice. Saitampo gets the kill straight away onto Levi and goes for the pressure straight away. Tensai doing an amazing job straight away, just running into the Jean. I know you're feeding Jean super, but the thing is, Jesse super is going to be a lot harder to build up than a Jean super, so definitely a good trade so far. 5 gems going the way of Crazy Racoon already here. Jean Pool already to hand. We see the Poco lane, which again, it just isn't it for me. Like, what synergy does Poco have with this? It's a really questionable pick. We got this kill again from Saitampo, but once he runs out of gadgets, it might be pretty hard for him to really get some confirmed kills. But I guess if he goes down the right-hand lane, it might be a little bit easier. Poco against Tara. I think I mentioned this matchup on my main channel, that Poco actually does have a good matchup against Tara a lot of the time. But you've still got to play it pretty well. Poco going really aggressive here. Oh, God. This is actually really weird to see from literally the most mechanically gifted region. They're going pretty weird picks, which I like sometimes, but at the same time, maybe a little bit too adventurous a lot of times. Now Tara has super and should be able to win the matchup. And now, as long as she conserves her ammo, Sandstorm goes down. For now, they're going to be able to scout out Levi, but we see a Charpy with a super right hand. This is exactly why I love this synergy. Like, this composition used to be the best composition for a long time when it was blind picks. So you can just see the perfect synergy right here. I think Poco is in the spawn. The camera isn't really quite catching that one, but Levi goes down, which is actually going to be really good because now all the gems are in the favor of Jean. It's going to be a lot more safer in his hands, and now Levi can go a little bit more aggressive. Saitampo is going to go in here. The Band-Aid does pop, but there's just no way that I can confirm the kill. A little bit of a sus pull could have actually got Levi killed, but does eradicate Moy from the situation quite quickly. And now a Sharpie can just push into the bushes really fast. Goes for the pull on a Jesse. Doesn't quite catch Jesse in time here. Sharpie goes down thanks to the screeching solo, but it's just not enough time for Crazy Racoon to grab the reset. So that's surely going to be RC, well, reject, getting that round right there. Pretty interesting in the end. In terms of thoughts about that round, I just think the combinations, once Sandy got super from Shelly, once Tara got sneaky, especially on a map like Double Swoosh, you can go in and out of the bushes and be so unpredictable. I just don't think Rejects had the answers to that, unfortunately. But let's see if things are kind of going to change this time around. So Jesse lane against the Sandy here, pretty interesting. It's just funny for me. Like, Poco isn't even the most meta brawler, but just to see him down the lane, you know, he's actually underrated. It's underrated. I definitely give him props for trying it. Anyways, it goes for the wall pick. Just actually get 3 shots onto Levi, so I think he's only 1 or 2 shots away from his super already. Side tempo just doing side tempo things on Shelly, winning every single matchup he possibly can here. He can just push back now as well. Should be able to get his band-aid in time. Levi getting pretty weak as well. Like this setup a lot more this time around. But the thing is, once Sandy starts pushing up and getting supers, once Tara gets in position and Gene pulls, there's hardly any way they can defend themselves. I think only a Jesse turret can tank these Gene pulls as well. Levi's going to be pushing in here. But you see, the Poco matchup's actually pretty good against Sandy. Like, it's really interesting to see the interaction, but pretty good so far. But Poco's a free pull a lot of times. Gonna get pulled. Sharpie finally gets his super in time, and now he can start just being really aggressive. This is where it gets really messy and where Crazy Racoon can't deal with any sort of aggression, and that's going to be a beautiful double pull from a Sharpie right there. So clean. The Gene pull miss, unfortunately for him, but a Sandy stun should be able to do enough right here. And there's just not enough time for Crazy Racoon to make a comeback. So I admire the attempt there, but Jesse and Poco in the same composition, I don't really like. I know they're the pros, but I think they need to go things a bit more textbook in set 5. Okay, so jumping into the 5th and the final set, another banger right here. We had Totem and Fuss on the main channel, which went to set number 5, I believe, went all the way, and now we've got another one. These monthly finals at the moment have been so good. Towards the beginning of the year, I didn't really kind of like it for some reason. I felt like there was a little bit missing from esports, but I feel like things are definitely picking up, especially towards the end. That's where it gets most exciting in terms of watching the teams. So Bells Rock, Piper, Bonnie, Tick, Band, Sprout, Squeak, and Bonnie band out as well. So Bonnie, one of the best picks in Knockout. Definitely glad to see that band. So Piper ban is pretty interesting. It's not really the best in EU or NA because you definitely need a really good shot with Piper to make it work. It doesn't actually work really at all anymore in Knockout and Bounty. And we see the Grey, which we're actually starting to see a lot more from NA, I think, in terms of picking Grey quite early on. But the thing is, he can get countered out by a lot of different brawlers. So we see the Gus and the Gene in Retaliation, which both are really good knockout brawlers. You know, Gene's good into pretty much everything. Gus is pretty much good into everything. So if I was Rejects here, probably be looking for a Mr. P. Mr. P is really solid here. Maybe a Brock as well is a good option. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, you know, you don't want a brawler that's good into Gene pools. They definitely need at least one brawler that can escape it. I know Grey can technically with his teleport. They go with the RT, which I do like some good synergy across the board with pretty much everyone in Knockout. The only thing is RT is valuable now that Bonnie's banned out of the draft. Normally that's when you see RT played, is when Bonnie's in play, a decent counter to Bonnie. And now they kind of need, is there any throws left? I think there's Grom. You don't really see Barley or Willow on this map, but the thing about, yeah, Grom can be decent with the Watchtower gadget to tank the Gene pools. Trying to think if there's any kind of aggro. I guess they can still go aggro last pick on the side of Crazy Racoon. They go with a bow. Bow pick is kind of wild to me. I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe Bow was in anticipation of a certain brawler like Pam, maybe. I don't know. Bow for me just gets outranged easily by the Gene or also the Gus. At least a Bow can tank a Gene pool with his totem. So I guess it's okay in that department. That's probably what they're looking for, would be my guess. But to me, they could just go with something with range. Go with a Lola. So I've actually seen an increase in Lola, by the way, on this map in particular, or just Knockout. So I'm interested to see how this one plays out. I mean, Lola's going to be good against Grey once she gets her super, because it's going to take a long time for Grey to take down the Ego with the freeze frame gadget. Same with RT. I mean, it's interesting. I guess they just need a little bit of DPS against the bow and the RT. In terms of compositions, I don't know who I'd favor, to be honest. I really don't know who I'd favor in this position. I still think Crazy Racoon has the better composition just because of the Jean, and overall you can just heal up a lot easier. So if we go with a Lola versus Bow matchup, which Bow I think has a little bit of extra range, not too sure. Maybe Lola wins this range interaction because Tensai is pushing it up pretty quickly. I guess Bow, you've got to be really accurate. With Lola, you can easily get a lot of damage quickly. Levi gets the walking cane easily onto Tensai there, but a really great takedown onto the bow. And now with the Ego pops, she just absolutely shreds through everyone. Lola's this weird brawler, right, which in the right hands can be really good, and then sometimes she looks pretty terrible. But you see that, I think that's basically a team wipe from Tensai there. So maybe, yeah, I mean, Lola obviously pretty good here. That was a pretty swift takedown. Now Santampo is getting marked up by the RT, but I'd probably prefer Gus against the RT matchup here. RT's a little bit harder to hit shots consistently with. Tensai already pushing up really aggro. You see the gadget go down here, and for RT, doesn't really have much use for his super. That's why I don't really like him sometimes, because his super is actually one of the worst in the game, I think, in my opinion. I can't really use it. Literally, there's only a few times I use RT supers, or even consider using it. Whereas, you know, other brawlers, pretty much everyone on this field, you want to use your super like straight away, right? But side tempo getting tapped up pretty nicely there. Just one more tap, then actually no, he's got a super. There's no way he's gonna die there. Side tempo goes for the cookie pop, and that's gonna be the takedown onto Menmi, and that's just how good the synergy is on Crazy Racoon. A good gene pull as well from Moya, and that's going to be the round winner for them. So that was a really quick and easy game overall. Really like the team synergy, especially from that takedown on the RT. I think that was a bit of a misplay though. For me, in my head anyways, when I'm facing off against a Gus, I want to make sure as much as possible that I'm not getting into that kind of two-tap gadget range, which he literally did there, and you've seen Jean just followed up with the takedown as well. So now it is set point. I mean, my voice is gone at the moment, and that's why I'm probably a little bit more quiet in this game. But yeah, it's pretty hard to be as hyped up when I kind of know the result anyway. But Moya, he's able to get some good shots onto Levi, get a bit of his super. I definitely like the aggression this time from Reject, especially in a composition like this. And that's going to be the takedown for a Charpe. So one thing I was going to note straight away, well, Moya just gets a takedown anyway and gets a pull onto a Charpe. So somehow it was a 2v3 situation, and now they change it into a 2v1 in their favor. That is an insane chain of events right there. I thought the bow could have probably placed this gadget down a lot quicker. I mean, maybe a little bit unfortunate now. They just need to wait for the gas to close in, and we should be able to get the win. But one thing I wanted to say is that one thing I've noticed on Bell's Rock in particular, especially when you're facing off against a Jean, you of course need to play aggro as quickly as possible, because as time goes on, Jean's eventually going to get his super and change the game. And, you know, Jean doesn't have the highest damage output. You know, you can't really be scared of Jean's shots. So that's why you see Rejects definitely play a lot better in that round, but still, now it is match point for Crazy Racoon. We just need to win one of the next 2 rounds to take it all, which they definitely need, especially if they want to look to secure a World Finals spot. You see all 3 people actually clumping up from Reject here. All of them except for RT using the shield gear as well. One thing I just noted there, we see Tensai getting some good pressure. Overall, getting tapped up quite heavily though, but the hacks just misses out on 100 HP. And then we also see the Jean heals come into play as well. We've got a Gus shield onto Moya, he's 60 HP. That's so unfortunate for Reject. Tensai getting some good taps onto Menmi right here. Levi with a missed walking cane, and Lola's just going to shred him so easily. RT uses his split, but it's just no way that a Charpe surely is going to be able to get this win in the end. And Crazy Racoon clutch up. So that is going to be it for today's video on the second channel. Let me know whether you want to see anything else in terms of competitive gameplay, but those are 2 of the best teams in the world. They face off, and you know, fair play to Crazy Racoon. They're able to clutch up when it matters most. Really interesting drafts. Honestly, I don't like their draft style, but let me know what you think of it in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.